Listen closely because this is one of those truths that sounds paranoid until you understand the biology behind it. The same foods you've been stacking in buckets, sealing in Mylar, and trusting with your future can quietly damage your body long before any collapse is over. I'm not talking about dramatic poisoning where you drop dead overnight. I'm talking about slow, cumulative harm. The kind that drains your strength, clouds your judgment, weakens your immune system, and makes survival harder every single day. And here's what nobody talks about in prepper forums. In a long-term survival situation, food doesn't just keep you alive. Food determines how well you can think, move, heal, and adapt. Get this wrong, and you don't die in a blaze of chaos. You fade out, tired, sick, and confused while believing you did everything right. Let's start with the first sacred cow of survival culture, ultra-refined white rice. Cheap, stackable, calorie-dense. On paper, it looks like the perfect collapse food. Biologically, it's a trap. When rice is stripped down to pure starch, nearly all its fiber, micronutrients, and protective compounds are removed. What remains is essentially a glucose delivery system. Every meal spikes insulin again and again, day after day. In the short term, you feel full. In the long term, your body burns through B vitamins at an accelerated rate just to process those carbs. Thiamine deficiency doesn't arrive with fireworks. It shows up as fatigue, irritability, nerve pain, and eventually cognitive decline. In survival conditions, that means slower reactions, bad decisions, and higher injury risk. Historically, populations living on polished rice didn't just weaken, they developed beriberi, a disease that quietly destroys the nervous and cardiovascular systems. Rice won't kill you quickly. It makes you less capable of surviving. Now let's talk about canned meats, the backbone of many emergency pantries. Spam, canned beef, mystery meat bricks promising protein security. Protein is essential, yes, but preservation methods matter. These foods are loaded with sodium and often nitrites, added to prevent bacterial growth and preserve color. In normal times, your kidneys and liver can manage that load. In survival scenarios, dehydration is common, electrolyte balance is fragile, and medical care doesn't exist. Excess sodium pulls water out of cells, raises blood pressure, and stresses the cardiovascular system. Nitrites, especially under prolonged heat and storage stress, can form nitrosamines, compounds linked to cellular damage. Over weeks or months, this combination promotes inflammation, headaches, poor circulation, and reduced endurance. You don't feel poisoned. You just feel off. Slower, weaker, less resilient. That's the danger. Then there's vegetable oil. Bottles of it. Corn oil, soybean oil, canola oil. Long shelf life. Cheap calories. Easy cooking. But here's the biochemical ambush. These oils are rich in omega-6 fats that oxidize easily, especially when exposed to heat, light, or time. Oxidized fats don't stay harmless. They integrate into cell membranes, disrupt signaling, and drive chronic inflammation. In survival conditions, inflammation isn't a minor issue. It slows wound healing, weakens immune response, and increases pain sensitivity. Worse, rancid oils often don't smell bad enough to trigger avoidance, especially when mixed into other foods. You keep eating them, believing you're fueling yourself, while quietly damaging cellular function. Sugar deserves its own warning. Hard candy, powdered drink mixes, sweetened condensed milk. Preppers love sugar because it lasts forever and boosts morale. And yes, quick glucose can be useful during extreme exertion. But habitual sugar intake in a nutrient-poor, high-stress environment is metabolic sabotage. Sugar spikes insulin without delivering minerals, amino acids, or fats needed for repair. Over time, this leads to energy crashes, weakened immunity, and poor stress hormone regulation. In a collapse, stress hormones are already elevated. Add constant sugar spikes, and you amplify anxiety, sleep disruption, and impaired decision making. Sugar doesn't just rot teeth, it destabilizes the brain under pressure. Now let's talk about dried beans and legumes, another prepper favorite that seems untouchable. Beans are nutritious, but only when prepared correctly. Many contain lectins and phytates that block mineral absorption. In modern life, variety and proper cooking offset this. In survival conditions, fuel is scarce. Undercooking is common, and dietary diversity collapses fast. Chronic consumption of improperly prepared beans can lead to iron, zinc, and calcium deficiencies. These deficiencies don't announce themselves loudly. They show up as frequent infections, slow wound healing, brittle bones, and muscle weakness. The irony is brutal. You're eating protein and still becoming fragile. Even powdered survival meals aren't immune. Freeze-dried complete nutrition packs rely heavily on synthetic vitamins. These degrade over time, especially with heat exposure. Calories remain, labels remain. Actual nutritional value quietly disappears. You think you're meeting requirements while deficiencies accumulate, vision problems, immune suppression, mood changes. Survival isn't just about calories. It's about micronutrient integrity. Here's the uncomfortable truth tying all of this together. In a long-term collapse, the human body doesn't fail dramatically. It erodes. Every bad food choice is a small tax on your nervous system, your muscles, your immune defenses. The real danger isn't starvation, it's functional failure. The people who survive longest aren't the ones with the most food. They're the ones whose food keeps their biology stable under stress. Calories without balance become liabilities. So listen carefully. Diversify your fats towards stable sources. Balance carbohydrates with fiber and micronutrients. Respect proper preparation methods. Rotate your stores. And most importantly, stop assuming shelf life equals safety. Because in a world without hospitals and second chances, slow poisoning is still poisoning. It just wears a friendly label and waits quietly on your shelf until you're forced to depend on it.